Welcome to Deep Dive. Today we're taking a journey into a really interconnected and impactful subject. The far-reaching global ripples of U.S. visa and tariff policies. This isn't just about abstract government decisions, right? It's about how these choices echo across continents, profoundly touching specific nations, industries, and even states right here at home.
Absolutely.
Our mission today is really to cut through the noise, sort of reveal the hidden threads connecting U.S. policy to lives across the globe, helping you understand this, well, this complex web.
And what's truly fascinating here is how these two, seemingly distinct policy areas, visas, governing who can enter, and tariffs, taxing goods, how they converge,
Right.
and often collide, actually, reshaping economies and societies in, unexpected ways internationally. It's a powerful illustration of just how globally interdependent we all really are.
It really is. And to understand these dynamics, let's maybe start with India. It's emerged as this incredible educational hub.
Yeah, the numbers are something else.
Our research shows it's now the single largest source of international students for the U.S. We're talking 331,602 enrolled in 2023-24. That's a huge jump, 23% year on year.
That is staggering growth.
Especially in graduate programs, nearly 200,000 students there. And look at optional practical training, OPT, up 41%.
Wow.
Now, for those maybe less familiar, OPT is that temporary work authorization linked to a student's major. It's crucial for getting work experience post-graduation, often the stepping stone.
It really is. And this growth, while remarkable, it does face potential challenges, doesn't it? The data suggests new visa fees, maybe more rigid admission periods. These could directly hit that upward trend.
So what does that mean then?
Well, the critical question isn't just about the numbers, It's about the future of academic exchange itself.
Yeah.
If the U.S. becomes less attractive, less accessible, where do the world's brightest minds go?
Good point.
The real insight, I think, is that these policies aren't just controlling immigration. They're kind of inadvertently reshaping the global talent pool. Students might just go elsewhere, Canada, UK, Australia.
Which impacts the U.S. long-term, particularly in STEM.
Exactly. That competitive edge in research and innovation.
Yeah, we're talking human capital, not just stats.
Yeah.
And it's not just students feeling it. Look at tourism from India. Travelers face some, pretty significant hurdles.
The wait times.
Exactly. Our data shows incredibly long waits for B1, B2 interviews the standard visitor visa. We're seeing anywhere from 3 to, get this, 8.5 months if you were trying to book in late summer 2025.
8.5 months.
Combine that with higher visa costs, it's easy to see how travel gets discouraged. Seriously discouraged.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, these practical barriers, the long waits, the higher costs, they leave a significant economic footprint. It's simple logic, right? People are just less likely to choose a destination if it's expensive and incredibly hard to get to. This hits U.S. tourism revenue directly, not just airlines and hotels.
But local businesses, restaurants?
All of it. The entire visitor experience, starting from when they think about the trip, is key. And these barriers, they don't exactly scream welcome, do they?
No, they don't. Okay, so moving to trade then. India was caught in the crossfire during those 2018-19 tariff disputes.
They were a retaliatory target, yes.
Meaning their goods, mostly agriculture, manufactured products got hit by U.S. tariffs, and they responded. This wasn't minor. It had real economic consequences for both sides.
And this is exactly where that fragility of international trade becomes so clear. The U.S. applied tariffs, citing fairer trade.
Right.
And India hit back, raising duties on U.S. goods like almonds, apples, certain chemicals. Renewed tariffs could easily reignite those tensions.
Yeah.
Another round of economic friction.
And it's often overlooked how targeted these things are.
Precisely. Trade disputes rarely happen in a vacuum. They often target politically sensitive sectors, key exports, designed really to create maximum pressure.
Okay, so from India, let's pivot to China. We see some contrasting trends there in relation to U.S. policies. While India's student numbers are booming,
China's are falling.
Yeah, enrollment fell to about 277,000 in 2023-24. That's a 4.2% decrease.
And this decline isn't just a blip. It seems largely tied to ongoing policy friction, higher costs, indicating persistent challenges to recovery in that area.
You mean things like tighter visa processes for certain students?
Exactly, especially in STEM fields. Plus, geopolitical tensions, maybe even increased anti-Asian sentiment in some places. It just makes the U.S. less appealing, despite the academic reputation.
So what's the long-term impact on cultural ties, academic links?
That's the big question, isn't it? These connections between two major powers are so vital for global understanding. It's a clear case of geopolitics undermining academic exchange and potentially America's future soft power.
And tourism from China tells a similar, maybe even starker story. Visitor numbers are still way below 2019 levels.
Way below.
And pre-pandemic, China was one of the largest, highest-spending tourist groups for the U.S.
Absolutely. And introducing that new $250 visa fee, that's likely to suppress demand even further. For many Chinese travelers, that's not insignificant, especially added to other travel costs.
So, a big hurdle for tourism recovery.
A significant one. It shows recovery isn't just about health and safety anymore. It's deeply tangled with policy, with perception. If the U.S. seems too expensive or too difficult, tourists have plenty of other global options.
Okay, trade with China. They were the main target of the Section 301 tariffs. For listeners, Section 301 is that U.S. trade tool used to hit back against what are seen as unfair practices. These tariffs led to major retaliation from China, especially against U.S. agriculture.
Oh, yeah.
I remember those headlines. Felt like a trade war.
It really did.
Yeah.
And specific examples showed the impact vividly. Think about farmers in Iowa, Illinois, growing soybeans.
Right.
Or Washington State with apples. Pork producers across the Midwest, they remain particularly vulnerable if these trade battles flare up again.
Because China is such a huge market.
Massive. They retaliated by slapping tariffs on those specific U.S. farm products, making them pricier, less competitive for Chinese buyers. These aren't just abstract numbers, these are livelihoods.
A powerful reminder.
And the insight is that trade wars, even if aimed at broad goals, often hit specific domestic industries disproportionately, creating immense political and economic pressure right here at home.
So true. Okay, let's move south to Brazil. What are the impacts there, especially tourism?
Well, Brazil is a major market, but crucially, it's not in the visa waiver program, the VWP.
Right. Explain the VWP quickly for listeners.
Sure. VWP countries, their citizens can travel to the U.S. for tourism or business up to 90 days without needing a visa. Brazil isn't on that list.
Meaning Brazilian travelers have to pay the full visa fees, go through the whole application process.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how just one fee change can really alter travel plans. That new $250 U.S. visa fee makes the states significantly more expensive compared to, say, Europe.
Where many Brazilians can travel more easily, maybe cheaper.
Precisely. So it's highly likely we'll see fewer Brazilian arrivals. For many, $250 is a big chunk of the travel budget. It just makes other places look better.
So pricing policy can redraw the tourism map.
Quite literally. It shifts tourist flows away from places seen as too costly or complex.
And on the trade side, for Brazil, their exports like steel, aluminum, agriculture. They also faced tariffs before, right?
They did in earlier rounds. These are key industries for Brazil's economy.
So it sets a precedent.
It does. If broad U.S. tariffs continue or come back, you can bet Brazil will likely respond with countermeasures. Their past actions show a pattern of hitting back, probably targeting U.S. products to impact specific American industries.
Tit for tat.
Exactly. It shows even economies the size of Brazil can wield significant retaliatory power in certain sectors, harming both sides in the end.
Okay, now let's talk about our closest neighbors, Mexico and Canada. Unique cross-border challenges there.
For tourism, increased costs for frequent travelers.
Yes, things like land entry fees for the I-94 form that arrival departure record for non-VWP travelers.
And increases to ESTA, the system for visa waiver travelers.
Right. So what does this all mean for those border communities that really rely on that easy cross-border movement?
Huge impact, I'd imagine. These changes, they seem small maybe, individually, but they directly impact the economic lifeblood of tourism-heavy border areas in states like Texas, California, Arizona. Think about families visiting, daily commuters, shoppers.
Even small fees add up if you cross often.
They do. It burdens those high-frequency interactions, potentially reducing visits, hitting local businesses, hard retail, hospitality, everything.
In trade. It's massive, with Mexico and Canada, our two largest partners.
The largest.
And both retaliated heavily in 2018-19 when tariffs hit.
Yeah.
Their countermeasures targeted specific U.S. products: steel, pork, dairy, even bourbon. Chose it strategically, right?
Very strategically to exert political pressure on key U.S. industries and states. But the risk isn't just about specific finished goods.
You mean supply chains?
Exactly. Those intricate manufacturing supply chains, especially in the auto industry, they remain incredibly vulnerable. A single car part might cross the U.S.-Mexico border multiple times during production.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that complex.
It is.
Yeah.
So any disruption, any extra tariff along that chain, it has a cascading effect, higher costs, logistical nightmares for manufacturers on both sides. It really illustrates the deep interdependence.
So protectionist measures can backfire.
Often they do, especially when they harm the very industries they're meant to protect, simply because those industries rely on cross-border inputs and integrated supply chains.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, I think. How do these global policies hit home? Which specific U.S. states feel these ripples most directly?
That's right. The economic contribution just from international students is enormous in some states. Take California.
Big numbers there.
Huge. 140,858 students contributing an estimated $6.4 billion to the economy. And that's not just tuition. It's living costs, housing, local spending, supporting countless jobs.
This $0.4 billion, wow.
New York is right up there too. 135,813 students, $6.3 billion contribution, bolstering their academic and cultural scenes.
Incredible figures. Really shows how foreign policy becomes local.
Absolutely. Then you have Massachusetts. Over 82,000 students, $3.9 billion. Think of their universities, the innovation ecosystem.
Here's your boost.
Texas isn't far behind, nearly 90,000 students adding $2.5 billion. And states like Illinois and Pennsylvania, they're seeing around $2.2 to $2.4 billion each. These are states with major research universities, diverse economies.
So it's woven into the fabric.
Deeply. International students aren't just learners. They're significant economic drivers, supporting local jobs, research, innovation. That's the key insight.
So what we're seeing is these states often combine high student numbers, that big economic contribution, with heavy exposure to international tourism, and sometimes those trade-sensitive industries we talked about.
They're really on the front lines, yes.
Which raises a compelling question, doesn't it? How might these states adapt? How do they mitigate these international pressures? And what might that look like for you if you live there or partner with businesses there?
Indeed. It's a complex puzzle. Solutions probably involve a mix of targeted economic development, maybe advocating at the federal level, perhaps even new state-level approaches to international engagement to keep thriving.
Lots to think about there. Okay, so just to briefly recap what we've discussed today, we've really dug into the multifaceted impact of U.S. visa and tariff policies. We've looked at global student mobility, tourism, trade relations, seen how countries like India, China, Brazil, Mexico, Canada are affected.
And critically, how it hits key U.S. states right here.
Exactly.
And as we've seen, every policy decision, however small it seems, sends ripples across borders, across economies, often with unintended consequences that circle back to affect us all. So final thought, perhaps. How do you think these, increasingly complex global interdependencies will reshape our understanding of national policymaking in the years ahead? Does it demand a more integrated, more holistic approach?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into such an important and interconnected topic.
My pleasure.
All the best, and we will meet again with another important matter again.